I think what people need to realize first is, art must mimic real life, yeah? And since we're in this space, the Kenyan space, yeah, it's very important to do something that reflects the Kenyan society exactly as it is. Anything can go wrong on stage. We've had instances where you're just about to go on stage and the person you are to go with on stage has just fainted. But the show must go on. This play was conceived in February 2024, but the protests were, happening in June. Then we staged it in July. If we performed it in February, people would have called us prophets. And then probably would have started a church. Yeah, so guys would have said, wow, this guy is actually so this. So by the time we were staging it in July, I can tell you hopefully we didn't change anything. There was a character playing Officer Bakari, one of the best villains I've ever written in any of my scripts. And guys could not even let him finish his lines because they really related to it. The emotions were so raw, guys were so mad at him. And we had to do a meet and greet so that people could feel this guy is human and he's just here probably for a job. We're just playing a part in telling a story.
Hello amazing people, welcome back to Unslated KE. This is our third episode, and first of all, I want to say thank you for your incredible support on our 2 previous episodes. They are doing amazing because of you. I also want to appreciate our team and the guests who have been fantastic to allow us interviews on our platform. Nataka kusema kuwa hatuchoki ndo mwanzo, na nyinyi pia msichoke. Ndara likiisha tutakuwa tumepata viatu, kumaanisha kuwa tutakuwa tumejua sanaa sana ya Kenya. Today you can see there's a change of set. It's not a coincidence. This is intentional because today we are panning our cameras and lenses from film and television to theater. My name is James Julius Julu, and I'll be your host today on behalf of Eddie Oliech, who is out of the country on an official duty. So I'm privileged today to have an amazing man, brilliant man, multifaceted. He is the artistic director of Igiza Arts Production. Welcome, Martin.
Thank you.
What do you do?
What an intro, man. At some points, nilikuwa naangalia sema ni mimi ama there's someone behind me. But niko salama. Thank you.
Tunakukaribisha hapa. How are things?
Things are good. Yeah. Miss Kenya, in your intro you said this is the first time at the Kenya National Theatre.
Yes.
So I can welcome you and say karibu sana. Thank you.
Thank you.
Many people dream to be on this stage, but very few get that chance.
Sure.
So we are stepping on very sacred ground.
Yeah. I can see.
Niko salama, niko poa.
Yeah.
Good. Saturday, well. Yes.
I feel like Igiza has been doing incredible things for the past how many years? 7 or is this the 7th year?
Yes, that's the 7th year. He had the professional theatre. He had Kenya National Theatre.
Yeah.
But it's been much longer than that. But since we went commercial, I'd say 7 years now.
7 years.
Yes.
And last year, how was last year for you?
Wow. Last year was quite successful. We staged a whopping 6 shows, and out of those 6, we had 3 original scripts written by myself, a bit heavy on social commentary that were received quite well. And last year also saw us, perform at the main auditorium where we are right now for the very first time. Because most of the time we are always performing at Ukumbi Mdogo, at a smaller hall within these premises at Kenya National Theatre. Yeah. So it was a very big milestone for us as Igiza Arts, and I'd say that we had a very decent year. Yeah, if I was to be humble about it. Yes.
You can shout it. You've done amazing. You've done amazing. You deserve it. I asked you about last year because I was here to watch the Maisa.
Oh, okay.
Very amazing. Great talents there.
Yes, that was our last play of the year, last year in December. Yes.
And something that caught my eye, the way you blend the traditional Kenyan storytelling with the contemporary themes. Yeah. How do you make it happen?
I think what people need to realize first is, art must mimic real life, yeah? And since we're in this space, the Kenyan space, yeah? It's very important to do something that reflects the Kenyan society exactly as it is, so that your audience can relate to it. So whether you're doing an adaptation or an original play, you have to make sure whatever you do, even in your adaptation or in your writing, you have to mimic Kenyan society to make it very relatable. So as a director, as a writer, that's something we really, work hard towards making sure we achieve that on stage. So that by the time you're walking out here, I can say that I actually saw my life on that stage. I can relate to a certain story, a certain character said on that stage, or I felt that these people are speaking directly to me. So that these are some of the comments you get, when you're doing our meet and greet after the show, and it's usually quite, it leaves you with a very warm feeling in your heart that yes, I've achieved. Yes, whatever we've done has spoken to the people.
That brings me to a very important question, I must say. How important is theater in the society?
I can say extremely important, almost a bit next to oxygen, if I may say so. The reason why is because we do not have enough spaces where we can tell authentic stories, and I believe theater is one of those spaces. Especially here in Kenya, we are not heavily regulated in the sense that we can tell very, very daring stories, very bold stories. For instance, last year we told quite some. We told very bold stories last year. We did a play touching on the Gen Z riots. We did something touching on the medical field, with the onset of SHA. The waiting room, NHIF, and all that. Then, of course, now we did something on political commentary on the state of leadership in this country, called Flight 1963.
So the satire.
Exactly, the political satire, where we took guys through a journey between 1963 and where we are now, where we are saying the flight hasn't really taken off. So the country hasn't really taken off. So with this space, right now we have a lot of political intolerance, especially online, on social media. But I tell people, come to theater. We are not regulated. I don't think they're in that space yet, where the government feels, or the authorities or the state feels that theater is, a threat yet. Maybe it was back in the day, the likes of when Gugi was still around, before he, he went into exile. But he came back. His play has been done last year about one of his famous books, I'll Marry When I Want, if I'm not wrong. And it was quite a success. He's one of those people who couldn't perform on the Kenyan theater space back in the day. So why is theater important? It's important because we can tell these stories with a lot of authenticity without actually feeling that we have to restrain ourselves. So you'll come here, one day you're talking about love, that time we're talking about politics. We're just talking about social commentary issues, emerging issues, or even things that we predict would be the challenges that we're going to have in the future.
Talk to me about servant justice, because I've seen a lot of it. There's a
lot of first of all, there's a lot of hue and cry about how we pronounce that.
So
the producer was here.
Did I pronounce it right?
Actually, no. Interestingly enough, I never even admitted to the team. I myself was pronouncing it that way, but apparently it's seven justice. So this I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but I'd say it was a stroke of genius in the sense that this play was conceived in February 2024, but the protests were happening in June. Then we staged it in July. So in essence, it was foreshadowing. It was foreshadowing. It was just foreshadowing. If we performed it in February, people would have called us prophets. Amen probably would have started a church. So guys would have said, wow, this guy is actually so this. So by the time we're staging it in July, I can tell you for free, we didn't change anything. In fact, probably we maybe just added a line or two, just so that people can feel, wow, this is actually relatable to what's happening. But it was spectacular. We could see it was one of those plays that we did where the audience was extremely interactive. We saw the audience, trying to even chase away a villain on stage because they felt it was very personal. There's a character playing Officer Bakari, one of the best villains I've ever written in any of my scripts. And guys could not even let him finish his lines because they really related to it. The emotions were so raw. Guys were so mad at him, and we had to do a meet and greet so that people could feel this guy is just human, and he's just here probably for a job, or just playing a part in telling a story.
Yeah.
But guys really hated him. It took another play for us to, try and sanitize his character so people feel, no, this is not him. He was just playing, he was just representing, a specific character. And it happened to be a police officer at that time. And as you know, with the current times, they're not our favorite people.
Yeah.
As it were right now.
Would you say that the hate towards Bakari reflects on how incredible he is as an actor?
Yes, definitely, yeah. It was a struggle for him to even finish his lines, say what he was supposed to say on that stage, but he held strong because he knew there's a message he had to pass. So it was a reflection of what the country was feeling at that time.
Yeah.
And you could feel that tension in that hall. And we made it in such a way that by the time the play was ending, we always start with the national anthem whenever we're doing our plays. But that's the first play. We are ending with the national anthem, just to remind people this is our motherland and how strong those words are. So it was quite powerful. Yeah.
Calm down, guys. It's a portrayal.
Yes. I don't think people still, click at him when they see him in the streets.
The national anthem, I like the way you run the shows, even the music, African themed music.
Yes.
Very, 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 very well thought. Yeah, and I like that. As an artistic director, having mentioned Bakari, you understand the challenges that come by just trying to get into character. What kind of struggles do they go through to portray a character just the way your vision was?
It takes a lot of hard work. Actually, getting into character is one of the hardest things you could ever, do as a thespian on stage. It takes us a lot of time. From a director's angle, sometimes it gets to 2 or 3 hours to the show, and you feel a certain character is not there yet. And sometimes we even impose a character on someone, because believability is everything. For you to pass that message, you have to be believable. I always tell my cast that, for instance, if it is a romantic scene, you can't fake chemistry. Whether you love someone or hate someone, it has to be authentic. So to a certain extent, you really have to actually love that person for that duration of rehearsal, or hate that person, so that by the time you are on stage, you have to be very believable. There's some things you can't actually just fake it, or make believe and get away with it.
Yeah.
So getting into character is very important. One of the steps, or one of the, during rehearsal, one of the things I ask them is, who do you represent, for instance, in Kenya or out there? Who do you want to represent on that stage? So that when we see you, for instance, Julius, on stage, we'd say, I've seen such a character on stage. So if you channel that person as an actor during rehearsals, probably you've seen an icon somewhere, a celebrity who's acting probably like, there's a specific trait you want to copy. That's what you do. You go and study that person, study their traits, how they walk, how they talk, then come bring it on stage. So there's a lot of research that goes into forming one's character on stage.
You've mentioned something that has struck me there. On set, there are so many problems. I've heard stories, by the way, of actors or actresses who don't get along. But when you see the final project, magic. How are you trying to bring them together, put aside their difference, and work on the project? Because I know that's a very big challenge for an artistic director.
That's a very good question. The Englishmen say that familiarity breeds contempt, yeah? So you can imagine you putting a cast of 10, 15 people together who are seeing each other every single day for about 4 or 5 weeks, or sometimes even longer. So there's bound to be conflict, yeah? There's bound to be boundaries crossed because we're all different individuals with, our different preferences. And sometimes it can take, as much as a joke gone wrong, to infuriate your fellow cast member, or just because at the end of the day we are humans, yeah. So a lot happens behind the scenes, but we have ways as artistic directors to mitigate that. For instance, you'd be very surprised that sometimes even we call them psych-up games. Some of those games we play before we start rehearsals. They're quite vital because they bring the tension down. Probably you've had a hard day at work or wherever you are before you came for rehearsals, or something personal has happened back at home. All those things, and you're coming here for this 2-3 hours of rehearsals, and we need you to be in your A game. So probably someone else will not understand that and end up stepping on your toes. Yeah. So we have so many techniques, and sometimes even as a director, the moment people walk in, I can tell, hey, today this so-and-so is not in a good mood. So I know how to push or how far to push without them necessarily knowing or me acknowledging such and such a person today is not bringing their A game. So you have to know all that just by observing and looking at everyone, so as to know what kind of tempo that specific rehearsal will have or during particular show day.
Those moments.
Yes, those certain moments.
Yeah. As a director and a writer, playwright, take me through your thought process. I mean, the dialogues, the subjects, how you bring things on set. What's your thought process?
It's funny that just a few hours before this, we had this similar conversation with a very good friend of mine, and I said sometimes as a writer, writing means talking to yourself, because character X is saying this, you're responding as character Y, character Z. So you're having all these conversations in your head by yourself, but ideally you're bringing some characters into life. So I believe the processes are different. Personally, I do not have a particular process I stick to, because for me ideas come to me at any time. We could be having this conversation and something hits me and I know, this is going to be what I'd write about for our next play. So what do? I take out my phone quickly. My notepad on my phone is quite full of stories that probably have not even made it to the stage yet. So I just build on it slowly. I see something, I watch something that I like. I hear a line that I love, or I said, I can replicate, or I can use this in this particular production. So I draw my inspiration a lot from things that I see, so I'm always observing people. And sometimes when I stage a production, either the actors will ask me, is this true? Did this happen to you? Or is this real life? It sounds so real. Yeah. Because I draw the stories from mostly what happens around myself, what happens in this country, what I've seen even abroad. Yeah. So just real life experiences.
Talk to me about Igiza Arts production. What was the inspiration behind the initiation of Igiza Arts production?
Okay, the inspiration behind Igiza was simply we needed a platform where we could tell very life-changing stories. We could have easily gone the easy way and just do comedy all through, where after the laughter is over, there's nothing much you walk away with. Yeah. So we aptly say that we educate and entertain. So every piece we do, whether it's comedy, whether it's a serious piece, you have to walk out there and feeling challenged about something, either in your life or someone else's life. If not, I feel like we would have failed in that particular production. So we always get feedback. We always know how to gauge how impactful a certain production was compared to another one. And we go back to the drawing board and say, hey, guys, we might have missed on this a bit. Or this actually, hits the nail on the head, and we're home and dry. Yeah.
You said you are talking about feedback. How do you deal with criticism from the audience, or just feedback in general? Can be negative or positive.
One thing I've realized about our fans, or anyone who you would call a fan, is that they like to be heard. The very first thing you need to do is just hear them.
Loud and proud.
Yes, whether you're going to act on that, piece of feedback or information that you've received or not, is immaterial at that point. But just hear them, just let them know, I've heard you. That's the very first step, because again, there's feedback or criticism that you can, use. Then there's feedback or criticism that you cannot really use, because probably it may involve changing your style or something that's just particular to one person, but very vital to 99 other people. So what we do is listen, because we get feedback from all our channels. For instance, when we did Flight 1963, it was heavy on Kenyan Kenyan jokes, some things that that happened in the past, in the 60s, in the what. So some things that could only be told in Kiswahili, for instance. But we usually have a diverse audience. We have foreigners coming in, white people coming in, and somebody went on Instagram and said, I couldn't understand some of the jokes because they're in Swahili. But those are one of those plays that we had to do that. But as a writer, as a director, we strive to use, for instance, English in all our plays, so it's just to cater to the diverse audience, because we have increasingly seen that our audience is very diverse, is very mixed. We're having people all over from East Africa. And location, actually where Kenya National Theatre is located, it's directly opposite, for instance, Norfolk Hotel. People just walk in and say, what's on theatre today? I want to watch this. Will I understand this? And say, oh yes, you can understand this. Yeah.
Igiza has done a lot of work. I've been following a bit of what you guys do, and there are some outreach programs that you've put in place, like mentorship programs and workshop training and workshop. How can someone get into this workshop?
For instance, we have recently launched our Igiza Academy, spearheaded by our producer. This is where during the school holidays, for instance, we train kids on theatre and drama for about 2 weeks. So instead of having your kid idling around and probably you feel that they have a passion or talent in this, we bring them on board. So we always advertise, we always speak about it during our shows, where we invite people. We also do those call for such kind of programs or mentorships online on our social media pages. We have our footprints in certain schools as well. This is, for instance, this is drama festival season. So you'd find a few of us are out there, training a school or two. When the festivals are over, we have schools who bring us on board and tell us we have this ensemble you want to put in together. So there's always a team ready to do that, to write for them. Last year we staged Luanda Magere, rendition by Igiza, because it's a story that's been done all over. So we did our own version with a certain school as well, and the kids got to perform it on this very stage that we're sitting on right now, and and the parents could not believe it. And to them, they felt that was the highest honor we could ever given their children to do, because for them they've done it at age probably 10, 11, 12. Some of us have done it when we are in our probably 20s, 30s, getting a chance to step on this stage. So we are trying to branch out and share this craft with as many different people as possible, and diverse age groups as well.
On your community outreach, there's the past 2 or so years, I've taken interest in mental health topics to do with that, and I have seen that you are also trying to focus your themes on mental health, social justice, corruption, things like that. And I just want to appreciate that, because at this stage, even in theater, in film, television, there's a lot going on. There are some stories coming out, actresses who are now suffering from mental health conditions and such. And I just want to say, keep it up with the community outreach programs. You're also going to schools?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that. Keep doing that, because those are the essential things that the community needs. and that is what we support at Translated KE. Moving forward, who is Martin Abuya out of theatre?
That's a very,
Who are you?
it's a very interesting question. And if I get this answer wrong, you promise me you have to edit this out.
No wrong answers.
So who is Martin Abuya at theatre? So when I'm not doing this, I'm an 8 to 5 IT guy. That's one of the leading financial institutions in the country.
Yeah.
So when I'm not doing this, outside this, I'm doing IT. I'm a networks guy, infrastructure. So doing, geeking out on IT stuff, being a nerd and everything. I do not program though. Yes, so that's my specialty. So when I'm not doing this, that's what I do on a daily. Yes.
Share with us how your journey was in the arts industry before Igiza Arts Production.
I'd like to date it back to the very first play I did, but it's always lost to me. This part of the story is always lost to me, but I think everyone did this play at some point when they were in nursery school. So my very first production was a nativity play, and where we were playing, there were 3 wise men going to visit Jesus. Baby Jesus had been born. So that was that. But when I realized that this was my thing was in high school. So fast forward to high school, that's when this interest was nurtured. Of course, participating in drama festivals, inter-house music festivals, inter-house drama festivals, sorry. And later on in university, where I went to, there was a very active drama club. I can just mention them for anyone who would want to do, follow the same path. So that was Strathmore Drama Society. We call it DRAMSOC. They have a very active drama club, and with them I got to do about 15 productions when I was a student and slightly after. And after that, I took a slight break, about a 4-year break. Then now Igiza found me. Oh, I found Igiza. But we found each other. So I used to watch their productions because the producers are a very good friend of mine. We were both in high school together, though at different years. But so we were united with a common goal, a common interest. And he said, why not dust off your feet and come, come join us. Just
Let's try this.
Let's do this again. Yeah. So it had taken me a while, and shaking off that writer's block after 4 or 5 years of not doing anything. That was also the time that we had COVID as well for about 2 years. So things were slow. So I don't want to go back to that point where I feel I cannot write again. So that's why we're just churning out production one after another. So it's been quite the journey. But I'd say that interest was, that interest might have piqued in me without knowing when I used to read a lot of, my mom used to teach a lot of literature back in the day. So we had these books lying around, Achebe, the likes, a lot of African literature. Yeah. So I read those books at a very young age, but I didn't know until later when I made the connection that this is actually, love for storytelling. This is where it actually began.
Yeah.
Yes.
In one of our episodes, we were speaking with, I call him the legend, Robert Ageng. And he mentioned that his love for theater is out of this world. But if you have a family, you're a family person, you have people depending on you, there's a way that theater cannot support you. That's why he diversifies to television, film. But maybe, just maybe, if you are a bachelor or a single person, so to say, you might just survive. What's your perspective about that?
Okay. First of all, shout out to Robert. He's such a great thespian. I've watched him over the years back when he was at Festival of Creative Arts, which was run by Eli Dabuto. They should come back. So if there's one person I'd like to work with in future on this sacred stage, he's one of them because he's really good. He takes his craft quite seriously. And in him, I see many other people who are trying to follow in his footsteps, including in our own outfit, Igiza Arts Production. I can say there are quite a number who channel him, and I'm seeing the same dedication. But to answer your question, we are getting there slowly. I know personally, of course, most people out here combine, like you said, he's combining film and theater and so many other things, probably even personal businesses, just to survive. Whether you're a bachelor or not, at this moment, I'm not too sure whether you can also, do it and, just survive purely on theater. Not because of anything else, but because of the state of the economy as it is right now. We have to be alive to the fact that things are not as good as they used to be. So I know of theater houses who would churn out, productions, month after month after month without missing. And whenever they would do that, they would start from, let's say, Tuesday, run all the way to Sunday. Nowadays, they either start from Thursday to Sunday or Friday to Sunday. That would easily tell you that even the spending power of our audience that we would love to see every month is not as mighty as it was before. So, and you see, that's a very big challenge, and it just speaks to the state of the country. Because as Igiza, we would love to, do put up shows every other month. If we do that, well and good. And if we fill this auditorium with every single show that we do, to answer your question, the long and short of it, yes, you can survive with it, even if you do have a family. But the moment you realize that you have to take breaks just to even give, your audience even time to, plan for their finances, we would actually hack. But the way the situation is right now, I don't think so. But we are heading there. We are definitely heading towards that direction. We just need whoever is at the top or whoever is in charge of all this to play their bit, to play their part. But in the meantime, while they're not doing it, we'll highlight those iniquities on this sacred stage. We'll tell those stories so that we get to a point where even our colleagues who are playing sports would only do sports like in other countries, but not do sports in the evening, then have something an 8 to 5, something on the side just to survive. You wake up, and the dream, of course, for many people would be to wake up and come to Kenya National Theatre every single day, not as an employee of the Kenya Cultural Center, but as a thespian coming to, perform, and you know that everything is going to come out from here. All my dreams, that house I want to build, that car I want to drive, that school I want to take the children, etc.
There's something that amazes me with theater. For example, when I was here for the MISA, you had a schedule where you go on stage at 3 p.m., entertain us, do your thing, and then a small break, and then you pick it up at 5 p.m. Same people, same play, but when you look at the 3 p.m. performance and the 5 p.m. performance, it's even better. How do you do that? It's something that it's incredible. It's incredible. How do you manage that? Keep it fresh, alive, and even more interesting.
This is why we say that theater will always be the best experience when it comes to anything related to the visual arts. Yeah. So a lot of it is just your mental, ability, mental stamina, where the actors know that today I have 2 shows. There are days we've even done 3 shows in one afternoon, spanning through the evening. So they pace themselves because again, everyone has paid the same amount of money, and everyone deserves to see a certain quality. So we try as much as possible to make sure that all the two shows are of the same standard. But of course, after every show, we always have a very brief meeting, and I tell them, hey, we can improve on X, Y, Z. So of course, now when we go back for the 5 or 6 p.m. show, there'll always be a change or two, or you're telling guys, hey, I know you're exhausted, you're probably feeling exhausted, but you have to give it your all, because again, that's the last show of that particular day. So we use a lot of, apart from, just, a mental willpower to achieve that. Then of course, things that we know are energy boosters, like, bananas. They always have to be a snack in between. Let them drink a bit of glucose here and there, just to, a bit of glucose, just to, get their energies up again. Yeah. So there are very many techniques to do it. Sometimes we do understudies as well, where one role is played by more than one person. So one person does a 3 p.m., then the other person does a 6 p.m. show. Yeah.
What traits do you think makes a good director?
I can see my cast members looking at me directly, but I'd say the biggest trait of a good director is patience. Yeah, well, you have to have patience. Yes. If you do not have patience, you'll grow bald in under a week. Because there's a lot of dynamics, a lot that goes on when you're directing a play. So a lot of patience is required, and a lot of people skills. You have to understand that everyone is different, and not everyone is at the same level, even artistically. Yes. So a lot of understanding, a lot of patience. You have to really also observe, and a lot of emotional intelligence. Your EQ has to be extremely high. Otherwise, you'd be getting angry every other 2 seconds because someone has done the exact opposite of something you've told them barely 3 seconds ago. So you really have to be put together as a person, and of course professionalism. There are boundaries you never want to cross, just to maintain that director-thespian relationship.
What message would you relay to somebody out there who doesn't think much of theater?
I tell them they're missing out. Yeah, they're missing out. There's nothing as beautiful as the rawness that theater gives you. That laughter is raw. People cry here as part of the audience. People laugh. People express their emotions in real time. It's it's very different from film, where editors have to introduce laughter here and there, or enhance it with effects. This is as raw as it gets. We only have one cut to do this from start to end. So that experience, if you've not had it, you're missing out.
You're missing out, guys. You really need to come to theater, experience greatness. How do you see the evolution of theater so far in Kenya?
It's growing, it's steady, but I think I think during the pandemic, of course, there was a lull. Things slowed down a bit, because before the pandemic, we saw so many groups putting up shows left, right, and center. You'd come to this notice board and see so many. You'd even be spoiled for choice, wondering which production house should I visit this time round. And people are actually planning for theater in their budgets, because it's a very good pastime activity, even for couples, or even for just if you're looking for a good time that's different from what other people do out there. So we are still trying to get back from that lull. Some groups never made it out of the pandemic. We've not heard of them, and they were really quite influential. So people are trying to rebuild, and I see we're on the right trajectory, because again, people are also coming back to theater. Especially the Kenyan audience is looking for alternatives of what they can do with their weekends. And we're also seeing increasingly our audience are even introducing their children to theater at an early stage. So that means even as writers, we have to write child-friendly themes as well. Something that both an adult and their child can come and watch. Of course, if it's within the purview of what you do, or if it's part of your style.
Yeah.
So it's evolving, and I'm seeing there's I'd say the government is trying to support the arts, but I feel like we could use more, theater spaces like this. I don't see a reason why we do not have 47, Kenya National Theatres in every county.
Yeah.
I don't see the reason why. But you'd be surprised, there's a branch in Malindi, there's one in Mombasa, but is it as active as this? Probably not. We have a very nice, classical theater house that was built in Nakuru, called Nakuru Players Club, with all those old lights, British style, quite amazing, because it's done the same way Broadway is done, but it's underutilized, probably not maintained as well. So there's a lot of conversations that need to happen around this space. A lot needs to be done so that we can improve this and probably, get it to the level where you are asking if it can pay people without doing anything else. Yeah.
The success you have achieved as Igiza Arts Production, I'm sure it has come with a lot of challenges. Would you mind mentioning one or two that you've encountered so far?
Okay, first of all, I'd like to say we're still on that path to success. We are not as big as we'd want to be yet, but we are heading towards that direction. But of course, challenges are there with every other production. Challenges of, for instance, space. You'd be very surprised that right now, if you go to for instance, nowadays booking is done on the e-citizen portal. You'd find that the next, available slot for probably this auditorium is in August. Yeah. So if you're not done your bookings prior, there's a challenge, and the alternatives that are out there are quite expensive. So theater spaces are very expensive, and that's why I'm advocating for both this government-run spaces. This is actually run quite well. A few challenges here and there, but they run it quite well. But since it's friendly to artists, everyone will run here. But there are private theater spaces out there, but the amount you pay per day is probably 4 times what you pay while you're here. Yeah, so even more. So that's a big challenge. So we find that if you miss out on space, and this is the only place you can put up your production, people would easily forget about you because you're probably putting up only 2 productions a year.
Yeah, yes, true. You as Martin, what is that theatrical lesson you've had to learn the hard way?
When anything can go wrong on stage. But the show must always go on. Anything can go wrong on stage. We've had instances where we're just about to go on stage and the person you are to go with on stage has just fainted. But the show must go on. We've had, most recently, no offense to this establishment, but we had lights go off in the middle of a show and the generator failed to pick up. So, but the show must go on. Luckily that day we had, a very patient audience who had to wait for about 2 hours for us to, and it's not entirely your fault. You trust the management of the establishment to have some of those things sorted. But the clarion call is always the show must go on. Whether someone is unwell, whether someone is going through something on that stage, when these lights go on, you have to give it your all. Yeah.
Any tough decision you've had to make as an artistic director?
Of course. Actually, all decisions I make are tough, right from writing. You write down a line, you feel this is risky, that's a tough decision. You're doing your casting, we have a big team, but you probably only need 9 or 10 out of a cast of probably 30 people. That's a very tough decision. You're directing a certain scene where you feel, this might not really go well with the audience, or this might provoke people 1 or 2 things. That's a very tough decision. And of course, one of the toughest is always to, quote unquote, fire or let someone go a few days to the show because of maybe disciplinary issues or maybe artistically Some, they're not there yet, but a show has to be done. Especially it's a paid show, so you want perfection. So those are very tough decisions as a director, and very unpopular, to say the least, that you have to make at every given point in any production.
So that brings me to this. Tell me how you balance your vision as a playwright, a director, with the practical challenges that are on the ground.
Okay, it's quite easy. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. One, because if you're working with the same exact team almost every other time, it's when you find yourself when you're writing down, when you're writing a particular script, you already even in your when you're framing or when you're visioning that project in your mind, you already know start to end who would carry it to a certain level and why. Because one, I know their work ethic, I know their artistic ability, so it becomes very easy. And I know this is how we'll sort this challenge. So by doing this and this and this challenge will be taken care of.
Martin, what legacy do you hope to leave behind as a director and an artistic director, or just as a person?
To answer your question, there's a quote I live by, and it's drama related. I'm not really sure who said this. I always say it's Aristotle, but I'm not too sure. Everyone has a role to play in the drama of life. Yeah. So I have a role as Martin. You have a role, and you're probably playing it right now as well. You have a vision with Unslated KE. I have a vision as Martin, and we have a vision as Igiza. And with every production that we put on this stage, like I told you earlier, if it's not impactful in any way, we know we would have failed in what we intend to do. So the legacy we want to leave behind is a legacy some of the great, thespians who have gone before us. For instance, the late Barnabas Kasigwa, who was a mentor of mine, who we still read his anthologies, of East African plays that he published, because he was quite good in his space. So we want, in future years to come, when people talk about Igiza, we will talk about a theater house or production house that actually impacted people positively. And when you hear that name, people resonate or people relate it to, perfection. That, wow, this guy has actually produced good art, and art that you can relate to, or rather relate with. And you wouldn't want to miss their productions, and I'm assuming that time we'll be doing weekly productions. Yeah.
I love the waiting room. You did Till Something Do Us Part.
Yes.
Those were great plays. In high school, a teacher came to me and told me I might make it in theater. Look at me now, Martin. Can I? Do I stand a chance?
First of all, was he or she your maths teacher?
Literature.
Literature.
Yeah.
You can make it.
Are you sure?
I am sure.
Are you not just saying this for?
No, I'd have told you the truth.
Am I welcome at Igiza?
You're welcome at Igiza. My cast members who are behind the scenes right now will tell you I'm a straight shooter. I'll tell you the truth, whether you can make it or not. And we have molded people who had almost zero theater, let's say, capability, but are now quite the stars on this stage. Yeah. But the moment you're doing this, that mic in front of you right now, and this is going to large audiences, you can do it.
There's this final question I wanted to ask. How do you help your cast deal with mental warm down, do I say? Because there is always this, what do we call it? What was the word?
Derolling, we call it. Here we like to say derolling.
Derolling.
Yeah.
Then there's the fatigue that comes with it. Yeah.
So, it's usually a running joke internally where we tell each other, you have to deroll after every play we've done, because you're probably playing a villain or whichever role you're playing, and you had to immerse yourself into that person. So you've done the show the entire weekend. Come Sunday, you're probably not going to perform that same role in the near future. But you really immersed yourself for a month also. So we tell them the role. Try and disassociate yourself. Yeah. Yes. If you can't take a break that following week, that following day, just think about anything else other than theater.
Yeah.
And we give each other breaks before we embark on another production. So that now when you come back, you're fresh, you're renewed, and you're ready to do the next thing.
Yeah. So, Martin, as we finish the show, we always have a segment where I'll give you some rapid fire questions, and you either answer them with one word or depending on how you get them, right?
Yes.
So, first question. One word to describe the play you are currently directing.
Superb.
Superb. What's your favorite thing about this play?
One word.
What's your
favorite thing about this play?
Yes.
It's very relatable. It's relatable. If you're looking for a Valentine play or a play that you could watch, or something that's very relatable during Valentine, this is it. The same way Netflix will release movies about Christmas movies, Igiza's released something about love. This is where you should be for all couples at all stages, whether you're on talking stage, it's complicated stage, whether you're married or just about to, or just whichever situation you're in, both for couples or just anyone, it's very relatable.
When is this play coming to theater?
8th and 9th of February, 2025, the main auditorium at Kenyan National Theatre.
Where can we get the tickets?
You can get the tickets at igizaarts.co.ke.
igizaarts.co.ke. Very well.
Yes.
What's your go-to rehearsal snack? If you have any.
If I have any.
Yeah.
Hey.
Do you snack during
Yes,
rehearsal?
yes, I snack during rehearsals. Rarely though, because let's just say, I'll answer this will be very controversial. In Igiza you cannot snack. Simply because whatever you bring, by the time you get to the door, it's over. Yeah, but I feel like the team loves a lot of crisps. We have banana bandits. We have someone who steals bananas, so you can't do that. It's not safe. As in terms of snack, thespians eat a lot, by the way.
True.
But thespians eat a lot. Yeah.
It's demanding and very understandable.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing about theater?
Just the rawness of theater. Yeah. That feeling. I've been on both sides. I've been an actor on this stage, and now as a director and writer on the other side. So it's on both sides of the coin. It's fantastic.
What's your favorite thing about your job?
As a director, I think bringing stories to life, and when you get feedback at the end of the day, whether good or constructive feedback or any form of feedback, but that means somebody has acknowledged what you've put on that stage as either really good, or it has changed their lives in one way or another, or made them think of something.
The hardest part of your job?
Hardest part, of course, is coming up with a production that, or a story that people will love, that will resonate with your audience. It's always, you're never too sure sometimes, as much as we're sure of this, and you're never too sure. You may feel like, this is it, but you stage it. So far we've had good reception on what we've done, but that's usually the hardest part.
What's your feeling when the first time you're seeing your production played live? You're seated there and this is it.
Probably the cast really know this. I know they usually have their pre-play, moments to go through, but I also have mine when I'm seated on the other side. So it's a lot of mixed feelings, a lot of, mixed reactions.
Yeah.
Emotions are at an all-time high, but within the first 5 or 10 minutes, you can already establish you're going to have a successful show weekend, and all of a sudden you've just relaxed. So that particular day, before our first show, personally don't eat, just to answer your question, because the nerves are just a bit too much. Exactly, yes.
What do you do to unwind after rehearsals?
Do you want the politically correct answer or the actual?
There's no incorrect answer.
Let's be politically correct. I sleep. Yes. Yeah. I can see my cast members looking at me, so I do not want to expose them.
Straight
so
to
personally,
bed.
I'd say, yeah, straight to bed. Yes.
What's the most ridiculous costume you've had to work with or see for it?
Most ridiculous costume. I do not have an answer for that right now, top of my head. Yes.
What's the worst advice someone has ever given?
Worst advice?
Yeah.
Hey, tumia pesa ikuzoe. It's practical sometimes, but sometimes it can also be very bad advice. Yeah.
Tumia pesa ikuzoe.
Pesa ikuzoe.
Okay, thank you, everyone. That's a wrap for our third episode. Keep it Unslated Kenya. My guest today was Martin Abuya, the artistic director, Igiza Arts Production. They have a play coming up February 8th and 9th.
Yes, Threads of Trust.
Threads of Trust. It's amazing. Come and see this play. You can book your tickets at www.igizaarts.co.ke. I just want to say that if you have not subscribed to this channel, you're missing out, guys. Do it right now and be part of the team that promotes the Kenyan art. So, thank you for staying with me. And until next time, may the force be with you. My name is James Julius Jolo. Adios.